Imagine the sound of heavy rain just pouring outside. It's pitch dark, it's freezing, and inside this tiny, sterile hospital waiting room sits a 24-year-old guy named Michael. He's completely alone. His hands are literally trembling as he stares down at this massive stack of medical bills, just sitting right there in his lap. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into a deeply moving narrative that explores exactly what happens when our absolute lowest moments collide with something so much greater than ourselves. If you're going through a tough season right now, or, if you feel like you're just at the very end of your rope, you're going to want to stick around for this one.
So let's jump right into this sudden storm. Just a few weeks earlier, Michael had a totally normal life. He had a decent job, a loving mom, and all these dreams of building a better future. But then, in literally a single moment, everything shattered. His mom was diagnosed with a serious heart condition, and the doctors didn't sugarcoat it. She needed surgery immediately. And the cost? It was just light years beyond anything Michael could ever afford. And then, as if the universe was just piling it on, his company announced layoffs. Michael lost his job. Think about that. In less than a month, he lost his entire income and was standing on the terrifying edge of losing his mom.
Suddenly, every single day was just this brutal battle for survival. He did what any of us would do, right? He took desperate action. He applied for dozens of jobs, but nothing. No one called back. He reached out and borrowed money from friends, but honestly, medical bills are like a mountain, and it just wasn't enough. So he started stripping away his own life. He sold his laptop. He sold his watch. He even sold his absolute favorite guitar. He gave up everything he loved just to keep his head above water. But despite all of that exhausting human efforts, those medical bills just kept growing.
Then came one specific night. Completely exhausted and just entirely broken by the weight of it all, Michael walked into this small church right near the hospital. The building was empty. It was so quiet, just a few candles flickering near the altar, casting these long shadows. And for the first time in years, the sheer gravity of it all just brought him straight to his knees. I mean, he had nothing left to sell. He had no more friends to call.
With tears literally streaming down his face, he whispered this profound plea into the empty room. He said, "God, I don't know what to do anymore. I've tried everything. If you can hear me, please help me. I can't carry this alone." It's just the ultimate prayer of surrender, isn't it? It's that exact moment when our human capability completely runs out and a desperate plea for divine intervention begins.
Now, we usually expect this cinematic, instantaneous fix, right? But what's really interesting here is that there was no booming voice from heaven. No sudden magical miracle happened that night to wipe away the bills or instantly heal his mom's heart, but something internal shifted. As he sat there praying in that candlelight, this really strange peace just filled his heart. For the first time in months, sitting in that empty, flickering church, he genuinely felt that he wasn't alone.
And that brings us to a really painful but necessary waiting period. The very next morning, Michael actually woke up with this renewed sense of hope. He kept praying every single day, and I really want to emphasize this. He didn't pray because his problems had just magically vanished. He prayed because he truly believed God was actually listening. But then, days passed, then weeks passed, and looking at things from the outside, absolutely nothing seemed to change.
And naturally, because he's human, the fear started creeping back in. His bank account was still completely empty. The terrifying date for his mom's surgery was just looming closer and closer on the calendar. That strange peace he felt was suddenly in this massive tug of war with the very real ticking clock of his mom's health and his empty wallet.
But sometimes it literally only takes one single moment to completely shift the course of your life. One evening, right in the middle of all that returning fear, Michael's phone started ringing. It was an unknown number. At first, he actually ignored it, which is a pretty normal reaction when you're drowning in debt and expecting nothing but bad news, right? But the phone just kept ringing. Finally, he gave in and picked it up. And on the other end, it was a manager from an application he had submitted months earlier. They'd finally looked at his file, and they wanted him to come in for an interview.
Michael could barely even believe it. He went in, and the interview went incredibly well. And just a few days later, he got this massive breakthrough. He got the job. And it wasn't just any job. It actually came with a salary that was way higher than anything he had ever earned before. Totally overwhelmed, he thanked God with tears in his eyes.
But God wasn't finished yet. Let's see how this builds. Because securing a job was really only the first half of the mountain Michael was facing. Remember, his mom still desperately needed that impossibly expensive surgery.
Well, just a week after getting the job, an incredible update arrived from the hospital.
A charitable foundation had stepped in and agreed to cover a huge portion of his mom's surgery expenses. And the reason why? They had just received an anonymous donation intended specifically for patients who couldn't afford their treatment. Michael was totally speechless. He had absolutely no idea who this anonymous donor was, but deep down in his heart, he felt it. He knew God had been working behind the scenes this entire time.
And then came the absolute best news of all. The surgery was a total success. His mom recovered. Months after that dark, rainy night, Michael found himself standing outside that very same small church where he had once cried out in just absolute desperation. Only this time, the tears streaming down his face weren't from fear or exhaustion. They were tears of pure, unadulterated gratitude.
So the crucial point here is comparing his expectation with reality. Michael, like a lot of us, probably expected that if God heard his prayer, every single obstacle would just be removed instantly. But the reality was so different. God didn't answer the prayer the exact way Michael expected him to. Instead, he provided what Michael truly needed to endure the storm. He gave him strength when he was weak, hope when he felt completely hopeless, and a way forward when he just couldn't see a path.
And this brilliantly illustrates two really profound realities of faith. On one hand, sometimes God calms the storm completely. But on the other hand, sometimes God lets the storm continue raging all around you while calming his child within the storm. Michael had to wait through the storm, for sure. But he was given the absolute peace he needed to actually survive it.
Now, I really want to bring this directly to you. If you are facing a difficult season right now, if you're exhausted, if you're staring down your own mountain of bills, a health crisis, or maybe a shattered dream, what if your miracle is closer than you think? What if, exactly like Michael, the pieces are already moving behind the scenes right now? I want you to really take this to heart. God sees every single tear you shed. He hears every single prayer you whisper in the dark, especially the ones where you say you just can't carry it anymore. And even when you cannot see him working, even when the timeline just stretches on and that fear starts creeping back in, he is already preparing a solution that you literally cannot yet imagine. So please, never stop praying, never stop believing, because God's timing is absolutely perfect, even when it doesn't match up with our calendar.
Which brings us to our final thought from the source material. When life says give up, faith says pray one more time. Let that be your main takeaway today. No matter what kind of storm you're standing in right now, don't walk away before the phone rings. If faith says pray one more time, what's your next prayer going to be?